Welcome to this episode of Tech News While Driving on March 15, 2016. I'm your host, Tony Hannity's. First thing in the news was I was on my day off yesterday, so I missed a few things. But I do want to catch up on two stories that I thought were major. Actually, three stories that I thought that were pretty major. First of all, Google's DeepMind AI, artificial intelligence program, AlphaGo, did beat Lee Sedol 4 out of 5 games of the ancient Chinese game Go. So what this means basically is computers are getting smarter, they're going to take over and rule the world. Now, what this really means though is that the importance of machine learning is now at the forefront of a lot of companies out there, and they're going to be using machine learning way more than before in the next coming years to hopefully do a lot of the more remedial work, a lot of the jobs that you hate to do. So case in point, a lot of the filing possibly, or cross-referencing, things like that don't necessarily need a human's eye, something that could be done very, very quickly by a computer. In the next few years, maybe 5-10 years, we'll start seeing that being done by machines. So your job necessarily isn't being replaced by a machine, but you can put your efforts and your skills to other attributes and other parts of the job that you were hired for. Second thing, if you're on Verizon, such as I, and you've been wanting to upgrade to the Samsung Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge, but you haven't yet paid off your full amount of the current phone that you have, fear not. It looks like Verizon is going to start a new program quite similar to their annual upgrade program, wherein that as long as you have paid half of the amount that is owed to the device you currently have under Verizon, you will be able to do kind of an early upgrade and get the Samsung Galaxy S7 or S7 Edge. What it sounds like at first, and I have yet to confirm this, but what it sounds like at first is that this is going to be not just exclusive to Samsung devices. Like, you don't have to go from the S7 to the S8 to the S9. Like, you would be able to get the S7 now as to start off this new annual payment program. But then in a year from now, if you want to jump ship and go with an iPhone, you would still be able to do that. So the minimum requirements are that you have 50% of your current device paid off, and then you can do the early upgrade. And again, according to their website, it looks like they have a two-year price for $299, or full retail price at $749. But the full retail price, of course, you can pay that off month by month by month, which is probably what I'm going to do if I do stick with Verizon. And then the last thing that came out of GDC, out of Microsoft, very amazingly, Microsoft has announced that they are opening it up, the Xbox Live co-op. So if you're playing a game on Xbox, they now will allow developers to tap into other networks, either console or even PC networks. So if you take into account Steam, or obviously the next company would be Sony with the PlayStation Network. Microsoft did say that this is up to developers to do this, which is very interesting. I talked with a colleague of mine who said, Microsoft pretty much bossed it out and said, hey, we are doing this, but you, aka developers or other networks, if you're not gonna play along, then that's not really our fault. We're allowing you as a developer to take advantage of this cross-network play, and it's up to these guys to really take the extra step and put it through. One of the first games that are going to do this is Rocket League, and I'm very excited for this, as personally I do have some friends that play Rocket League on computer, but not Xbox. So I have it on Xbox, and I hope this guy goes, because I'm kind of stuck in the intersection here. Hello? Please? Can you go? Yeah, let's just go a little bit. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, so now this would allow me to play against my friends that are on console, on Xbox console, as well as PC. So that's really exciting. Now today, some things that were announced include, the PlayStation VR. Now this is something that we've been talking about for about a year and a half now, maybe almost 2 years. This is the VR headset that first came out as Project Morpheus, and it will be tied specifically to the PS4. And it has an introductory price of $399. So arguably that is a lot less than the HTC Vive or the Oculus Rift. It doesn't include the PlayStation camera, but that's only $45 off of Amazon, so that's a pretty low barrier to entry. A lot of companies are going to start taking advantage of the massive market share that the PlayStation Network has, considering there's a lot of people that have PSN that are part of the PSN with a PS4, and getting those customers entrenched into VR is going to be quite easier than having people buy a $1,000 machine plus the VR headset from Vive or Oculus. In my personal expectation, I think that all of these headsets are going to have a place. As it stands right now, Oculus is a standalone. You just kind of look around. They have a little bit of motion capture where you can get up a little bit and using the Oculus Touch nunchucks, but more so if you want that experience, you're going to have to go with the HTC Vive, which allows you to create a full room, which you can walk around like you would in a real environment. The PlayStation VR also has that ability with the PlayStation camera, but not as much, and you're going to use controls like the Rumble Pack and or the PlayStation Move wands that they have. So whatever the case may be, I'm very excited for this. I don't have a PlayStation, but I know a lot of people who do, and they've been waiting for this. PlayStation did say that the refresh rate would be 120 hertz, so that megahertz, so that's a lot quicker than the likes of the Vive and the Oculus, and it's going to have resolution of 1920 by 1080p. Now, when it comes to the screen door effect, PlayStation themselves said that the pixels are so dense that you would barely be able to see the lines in the screen. It's that clear. Now, this is obviously from their PR mouth, so I have yet to try it myself. The screen door effect does make a huge difference. Screen door effect, for those who don't understand, the SDE basically is the actual screen when you're looking at the image. Sometimes you can focus on the actual screen panel and the pixels on the screen panel, so it kind of takes you out of being immersed in the world that you currently want to be in. So if they have been able to get over that hump, that's going to be very, very big for PlayStation and Sony. If you're an Instagram user, beware. Looks like Instagram is going to take the same role that Facebook has taken and curate or reorganize your newsfeed. What I mean by that, if you go to your Facebook right now, it's not in chronological order. They put the stuff at the top that is not only the most recent, but also the most noticed, the things that would more likely appeal to you. And for me personally, I don't really like that. I like to see things in the order of which I have received them, and that's why I like about Instagram. And although some people would like to see the quote-unquote interesting things up front and center, I like to see them in the order that they came across my feed. So I'm not in favor of this. I hope there's an opt-out option. This doesn't mean I'm going to stop using Instagram. In all honesty, I'll definitely continue using Instagram, but I might be using a third-party program that doesn't do this. And I know there's a lot out there, so I'll let you guys know if I find one that's good, if this goes through, and if it's not up to what I expect it to be. If you use Here Maps on Windows 10 or Windows 10 Mobile, you're not going to be able to use Here Maps anymore by the end of this month. Announced today, Here is actually pulling support for Windows 10 and Windows 10 Mobile. Now, you might be thinking, well, now wait a minute. Here Maps came from Nokia. Microsoft bought Nokia. Why would they pull support? You have to realize Microsoft bought the hardware division of Nokia, not the mapping division. Microsoft has their own Bing Maps, and for whatever reason, they didn't buy Here Maps. And so Here Maps was then acquired by a consortium including Audi and BMW in Germany, and they are going to be putting that integrated into their future vehicles if they haven't done so already. Now, one might say, well, that's also kind of contradictory to what a lot of companies are doing. I mean, it would make sense to be able to use Here Maps on all the devices, and then when you get into your Audi or your BMW, like you would, then you would have the same mapping interface that you do in your desktop or your phone. I mean, that's what I would say in a cohesive environment. That's what I would say would be probably the best experience. But now I'm going to be using Google Maps on my phone or Bing Maps on my other phone, and I go into my Audi or my BMW, because I've got all the cars. You know how it is, and it's going to be a completely different mapping system. Another could argue that those upgraded cars are going to have integration into CarPlay or Android Auto, so I could use Google Maps there anyways. But it's just kind of a weird turn that Audi and BMW and the rest of the company that has Here Maps decided to make. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I guess if you use Here, you can only use Here over there, which is with iOS and Android. And as it stands right now, they're not pulling support for iOS and Android. It's just for Windows. Sorry. Watchmaker Fossil has announced 2 new Android Wear devices, the Q Wander and the Q Marshall. One of which looks more kind of, not a ruggedized design, but it's more of your everyman design. And then the other one is a more metallic design, and it's running the latest version of Android Wear. Not quite sure if either of them have a speaker. I have to look into the specifications of that. They're starting off at $249, and they have 2 sizes, 44mm and 46mm. I think this is really good. Obviously, Fossil has been in the watch game for many, many years. I'm a big fan of Fossil. I do like their designs, and when I heard that they would get into Android Wear last year, I was very excited, but their first Android Wear device kind of left me wanting more. And now that these latest editions have been announced, they haven't yet set a release date, but they looked really nice. And at $249, that's actually a really good price. The watch that I had recently, until I sent it back, was the Huawei watch, which was $399. So that was relatively more expensive. It's a really nice watch as well too. So at least in the Android Wear watch game, there's a lot more watches coming out. But I think the question still remains, what do we need these for? And that really depends on you as a person. I like the notification capability, the quick glances, the quick responses I was able to give. When I got a text message or a Google Hangout, I could just speak to my watch and it heard me pretty clearly. And then when they did update it to allow for phone calls to come through, the quick phone call, 30-second phone call, it was fine to be able to talk to my watch like this. The long-winded phone call, doing this for more than a minute, got a little annoying. But in any event, this is, I think, beneficial to the Android Wear watch ecosystem, because at least on the iOS side, you don't have to get the Apple Watch. You now have a lot more capability to look outside Apple Watch, and possibly, if you're a fan of Fossil or even Tag Heuer, you can get one of these to match your everyday lifestyle, if you would. So that's pretty much it today. Thank you very much for watching. If you have anything that you think that we missed and we should have talked about, leave that in the comment section below. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. We have a few more reviews coming up, including a Western Digital Mirror Cloud, or My Mirror Cloud, or something to My Cloud Mirror, something like that. Cloud Mirror I don't know. But yeah, that's coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. And make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Lazy Tech TV. And we will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.